People, they don't like to be marketed to. They want to be spoken to. They know there's humans behind these businesses. And the more you can show that humanity of the business, that resonates really well, especially on Reddit. There's so much AI-generated content and AI-generated search results pages. And people have grown tired of paid influencers. They see through that. There really is this desire to have a more authentic connection, really hear from people, hear their real opinions about things. People love to hear from businesses when they're authentic and they're talking as humans and getting some inside tracks.
Serving and solving problems, right?
I like that. Yes.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Duct Tape Marketing Podcast. This is John Jantsch. My guest today is Jim Squires. He's the Reddit's EVP of Business Marketing and Growth. He oversees the strategy and expansion behind Reddit's marketing efforts as they relate to our growing advertiser base. So their growing advertiser base is probably what I should have said. Jim, welcome to the show.
Hi, John. It's great to be here.
So I told you off air that I had Alexis on the show about 5 or 6 years ago. He's no longer involved at all, right?
Correct. Yep. Steve Huffman is our CEO and founder, actually, from the very beginning.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about, I think Reddit has started to get lumped into social platforms. I'm not sure that's where they started. It certainly has its own personality, I guess, if you will. So talk a little bit about how the unique culture at Reddit on the platform kind of is different from, say, LinkedIn and Facebook and some other social platforms.
Yeah. It is unique. It's a very different platform. It is, I describe it as a community of communities. And so you've got 100,000 plus active communities, everything from gaming to gardening, tech to travel, investing to interior design. Really anything that you can think of is on there. And so people organize around their interests and their passions. And it's very different from other platforms in the sense that even the dynamics, there's not likes on the platform. There's upvotes and downvotes, which means that only the really universally valuable, interesting things float up and get distribution. The stuff that's really divisive or controversial gets a lot of upvotes and downvotes and then never gets anywhere. So it feels very different. It's anonymous, so people use pseudonyms on the platforms, and so there's a lot of different dimensions. But the biggest thing to think about is those communities and the passion and how people are organized around that.
And really niche-y, right? I mean, like subreddit of a very small community, right? But the people that are in that community are not just casual passerbys. I mean, they are like totally into it, right?
Yeah. I mean, you have massive communities. There's communities like Be Amazed or Which Car Should I Buy that have millions of people in them. And then to your point, you can go super niche and super deep into specific categories as well. So it really runs across the board.
So in terms of communication, engagement, participation, how would you say, there in the early days, particularly, there was kind of this vibe of like, behave here and be a good citizen or, you'll get kicked out kind of thing, as opposed to, say, I don't know, all comers on Twitter or something, might have been. So I'm sure as Reddit has grown, some of that's probably gone away, but would you say that sort of DNA still exists?
It definitely does. Yes, it is. I mean, part of what I just was describing before with this upvote, downvote dynamic that keeps bad behavior from bubbling over because you're just not rewarded for doing anything in that area. You've got moderators for each of the communities. They have their own rules and they govern how that community is going to engage. And so between the rules of engagement and knowing that if you're going to step out of line or behave poorly, one, no one's going to probably see it. And two, the moderator might ban you or take you out of that community. So it really keeps things positive and helpful for people.
And poorly is not just calling people names. I mean, it's self-promotion too, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. People, and this is great advice for small businesses as well, as people which is not unlike, anywhere, even in our personal lives. They don't like to be marketed to. They want to be spoken to. They know there's humans behind these businesses. And the more you can show that humanity of the business and engage with people in a way that doesn't feel like you're just being salesy or too overly polished, that resonates really well, especially on Reddit.
So one of the things that it's probably been going on longer, but certainly has been very noticeable maybe for the last 3 years is that, Reddit it feels like Reddit used to exist in its own universe, and now you can't do a Google search that doesn't usually turn up some Reddit
Right.
conversations. So how has that changed the dynamic of the platform?
It has. I mean, it's interesting because Reddit's been around for 20
Right.
years
Right.
doing its thing. And there actually is a, just this rich repository of all these conversations that have happened over 20 years. But it really has become even more important. I mean, it's having a cultural moment right
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
because, and my view on this is because there's so much AI generated content and AI generated search results pages, and people have grown tired of paid influencers. They see through that, and they're much more savvy on being sold to. And so there really is this desire to have a more authentic connection, really hear from people, hear their real opinions about things. And so many people, to your point, they come in through a search. So they're looking for, they're going camping and they're getting into camping.
Yeah.
Gear is a really big part of any hobby and passion
Yeah.
that you have. And so they're looking for something in particular. Reddit pops up in the search results, and then they find themselves now in these conversations. So a lot of people discover Reddit through search, and then they stay for the community because they realize, oh, wow, there's so much more here beyond just that camping gear I was just looking for.
Yeah. So, however, commerce is happening, right? On Reddit.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about, if I'm this small business and I thought, oh, I'm playing on all these other platforms, how can I get into Reddit? Or if I'm an agency and I'm thinking, how do I bring my clients and get value out of Reddit?
Yep.
I'm sure it depends on the business and the niche and what your goals are. But in general, is there kind of a best practice approach to get yourself, up and going on Reddit?
Yep. I mean, we keep it really simple, and it's relevant for really whatever category you're in or whatever business that you're running. There is a really easy to use ads interface. Ads is the easiest way to, small businesses don't typically have a lot of time. They want to get to results and find new customers quickly.
Yeah.
And so we make it easy to, through ads, just quickly get distribution. And so you can take, if you're running advertising on another platform, make it really easy to import that campaign over. You can use the AI tools to automate things and just get it going really quickly. And really just with a few $100s, you can start seeing progress and seeing and getting new customers. In fact, we should throw it in the notes, but we have for Duct Tape marketing listeners, we've got a promo code Duct Tape 500 that they can use to get started on ads if they want to. But I recommend that that's just the easiest way to dip your toe in, is just get ads going. And I could talk more about tactically how that works.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I want to call out is we have a free set of tools to also get going. And so we call it Reddit Pro. And through Reddit Pro, you can get your official presence on Reddit, so your official profile, and you can start actually seeing trends. So what are people saying about your business, your competitors? What are people talking about in your category? What's trending? What's interesting? And then actually shows you which of those communities you can go into and learn more. And you can even start engaging as the official business. People love to hear from businesses when they're authentic and they're talking as humans and getting some inside tracks. That's the other thing you can do.
Serving and solving problems, right?
I like that. Yes. Well said.
So I want to get back to organic in a minute, but let's touch on the advertising again. You said it's Duct Tape 500. So that's DUCTTAPE 500. And if you spend 500, you're going to get 500. So
that's right.
That's kind of the way that deal works. How does advertising, I know some platforms that were traditionally very organic and then figured out, oh, we got to make money. We're going to sell ads. The ads, they struggle with, how do we get those in? How are people going to view those? So how, and obviously an ad is a call to action quite often by now, a kind of thing. So how does that fit in culturally?
Well, it's interesting. We took the reverse approach. So we started with ads before the organic. And so people got used to it pretty quickly as far as how it fits in. I mean, a big part of it is kind of thinking about what communities are going to be most relevant to you, and we made that really easy as well. So, for example, health and well-being. There's lots of communities in that realm. So everything from the communities are always structured r/. So r/ get motivated, r/ weight loss, r/ fitness. These are all in that health and wellness category. But as a small business, you don't have time to go through and try to figure out which of these communities is going to be relevant to you. So you can just tag, health as a interest category that you think is relevant for your products. And then the ad system will go out and pull all the relevant communities that might be of interest and the people that are in those communities. It's anonymous, so that you can then get your ad in front of them either in those communities or when they're in their feed or they're in some other community on the site. So it's a really easy way to get into those interests, and then your product is going to be very relevant for those individuals because they've expressed interest in that area.
So let's say I want to do a combination. I want to actually build an organic presence as well as doing some advertising.
Yeah.
It's probably not an overnight solution. What's a kind of best practices approach for getting some organic reach on Reddit?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you would want to set up your official profile. So you get that. This is, now my business on Reddit. So people know that you're the official voice of that business. And you really want to start, we just released a new product called Trends that's free as part of Reddit Pro. And I always suggest just quickly jumping in. You can actually specify keywords that you think are interesting or related to your business. And you can start seeing through your category what might be trending, what are people talking about? Are people talking about my business? Are they talking about my competitors' businesses? What are they saying? And that gives you an entree into, okay, do I want to engage yet? Or I just want to kind of check things out and see what the tone is and see what's happening there. Now, the businesses that really elevate and do really well are actually, they start engaging and they start interacting with the community, and people really appreciate, and we talked earlier about just showing the humanity of the business. They appreciate transparency. So having the good and the bad, talking about things that maybe aren't perfect, gets you a lot of credibility in a community and across Reddit. There is a business that's on Reddit that sells diaper bags, like travel diaper bags. It's called the No Reception Club. And they jumped on there and they were running ads. They also have an organic presence, and people were commenting that the bags were too expensive. They had really high price point. And so instead of just kind of withering away or not addressing that, they hit it head on and started talking about why it's a high price point, because of all these features, the quality. They've got a lifetime warranty. And that built so much credibility with people in those communities, and won over a lot of people that were saying, I see, they actually engaged with me and explained what is going on. And that just gives you a lot of points.
So what are some of the challenges you've seen, or maybe we could even say mistakes you've seen small businesses make, really trying to engage on Reddit?
The mistakes that get made relate to what we were just talking about. So you come in, you can imagine like as humans, we don't walk into a meeting or walk into a party and just start shouting about ourselves. You ease your way in, you start talking, you get a feel for the vibe and what's happening. And then you can talk about yourself and what you're doing. And so the brands that would show up, or businesses that show up, and we coach on this, so it doesn't happen very often. But if you show up and you are just shouting with salesy messaging and not being authentic and engaging that way, it's you're not going to get shouted away. I mean, you can show up with ads. People are used to ads, and they're not going to, you can turn off comments and not really worry about it that much. But again, as we were saying before, if you really want to elevate, you really want to have success on the platform, being aware of that, even turning comments on, because you want to hear from people and you want to understand your customers. That's kind of where you elevate to the next level.
Is there a type of content that performs, questions, behind the scenes insights, educational posts, AMAs? I mean, is there a certain type that you think performs better?
I love that. It's not one specific type, but I like where you're going. The angle on this is, that within the different formats, what type of content might resonate. And I would say that in general, that transparency and that being willing to engage always does well. So like the AMA is a perfect example of that. There was actually Oatly, the oat milk brand. They did an AMA and they invited big dairy businesses to come co-host with them and talk about a climate footprint labeling. No one from Big Dairy showed up on that and took them up on it. But Small Dairy showed up, and there was a Scottish dairy farmer that showed up and actually engaged and talked through, and they had a really good dialogue. So that type of content does well. Behind the scenes content is really, really good. I mean, you can imagine a microbrewery taking you behind the scenes on how they brew their IPAs. And people really want to geek out on that. They want to see the technical aspects of it,
Yeah.
understand what's behind the scenes. And what it does is it shows when you show, because we all, with each of our businesses, we have a passion for what we're doing. That's why we started that business. And so when you show that enthusiasm, that passion, and that craft, these people in the communities, they have the same passion, and so it really resonates with them. And then they want to lean in and they want to learn more about it.
So imagine the CEO sitting around saying, okay, my agency says I need to be on Reddit. How do I know if I'm getting any return, on being
Yeah,
there? What
yep,
type of reporting, what type of measurement is available for somebody to know, am I having success?
yep. I mean, that is the key. What have I accomplished here? So Reddit it's multi-objective. So it really goes from, top of the funnel reach all the way down to driving sales with what you're trying to do. And so it depends on where you're at in your life cycle and kind of what you're trying to achieve. But I think about on the discovery side. So people are showing up and they're really open-minded. They want to discover new products and services. I do look at the overall reach that you're getting inside of these different communities and trying to understand that. I think for most small businesses, they want to move faster and they want to just get new customers. And so then I suggest looking at the traffic that is coming off of your advertising and your organic presence. You can measure that directly and see what traffic you're getting. And then ultimately, I look at the conversions and the new customers that you've converted and the purchases that you can drive. So as part of the reporting, you have access to all that to go to instrument it. And then based on your campaign, what you're trying to achieve, that's actually the key thing. Is a lot of times businesses show up and they haven't crystallized what am I actually trying to do with this campaign, and making sure the creative ties to that. But having that really clear and then looking at the appropriate stats for that is really what I recommend.
So you mentioned the word creative. Is there a form of creative, maybe that's a little more tongue in cheek, a little more cynical, or, just rather than just the traditional, we're the best, buy from us.
Yeah. Well, there's lots of memes on Reddit, definitely.
Right.
You can play into that, and some brands really do that. My advice on the creative is, not unlike advice you'd give a friend, is be yourself on this. And so if you are a really, tongue in cheek kind of clever brand, then that should come out in your creative. If you're not, and you're doing, B2B is huge on the platform. And so if you're doing something that's B2B that's more serious and that you feel like that's actually not your thing, you don't want to show up on Reddit and then start doing that, because that stands out as well. So I always like to have what are you as a brand? What do you stand for? What are you trying to communicate? And then have that tie in versus trying to change yourself to try to fit in or feel like it's Reddit-y or something that's going to fit in there.
Probably no faster way to fail than to try to be something you're not.
That's
right.
As people in life or on platforms. Yes, exactly.
Right. So one of the things that we've seen over the last couple of years, ties into AI, ties into zero click, searches now, is that advice we're giving people is, like it or not, you've probably got to be a few more places where people are choosing to get their information and hang out.
Yeah.
And it's not always search engines. How have you seen that impact Reddit?
Yeah. I mean,
or have you? I guess I should ask first.
Absolutely. It's a great point. I mean, there is one thing that is interesting about Reddit is that it has a lot of unduplicated reach. So people that are on Reddit, they aren't on Facebook or Instagram or other places. And so that's counterintuitive, because these other platforms are so big, but there actually are a lot of people that aren't on those other platforms.
Suspect trust has a lot to do with it.
Yes. And what they're looking,
or lack thereof.
That's a great point. Yeah. I mean, people, it's anonymous, as we talked about before. People are sharing their unvarnished real opinions. And so people trust that because they're enthusiastic. Yeah. So I think like that ability to get to customers that you can't get to on other platforms is something really to kind of consider and think about when you're looking at it. Yeah. And so I think it does. That's one of the things on why you would want to branch out. The other reason is that you have on all the different platforms, people are in different mindsets and they're doing different things, which really affects what they may want to be purchasing or the decisions they may want to be making. So for example, on most platforms, targeting based on demo is really the standard. So if you were targeting me on another platform, you're going to know that I live in San Francisco, I'm in my 40s, You may know where I work. There's like certain things that you know about me. What you wouldn't know that you know on Reddit is that I'm really into mountain biking, and that I'm in the market right now to get a heavy duty bike rack for my car that can hold 4 bikes, because I want to have my kids and my wife be able to go with me, and that I can go long distances up into the mountains. You wouldn't know that on another platform. And so that's the different dimension. And so as a business, you want to be where your customers are, and you want to be where they are making purchase decisions. We always say that conversations drive decisions. And so people are making those decisions through the process. That's what I encourage.
Yeah. And I certainly notice a lot of, hey, anybody got advice on, kind of posts, which is pretty high buyer intent, right? Yeah. So by the way, the Thule hitch rack, I swear by it.
Is that the way to go?
That's the way I would go.
Okay.
That's the way I have gone.
Okay. I'm down to
so
three.
Now we need to talk about your setup on your bike. I'm a Santa Cruz guy myself.
I'm a Santa Cruz guy also. So yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
10. Yes.
Awesome. There's probably a Santa Cruz subreddit, or at least a mountain bike subreddit.
They're 100%. I was going to ask you, do you spend time on Reddit? How much?
Yeah, we have we do a lot of training of fractional CMOs and marketing consultants and agencies. So we participate in a few of those conversations for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great small business communities, small business marketers. And so you can kind of, as a business, use it in multiple ways. You're using it to get to your customers and potential customers. And then you're also using it for your own benefit, for advice and understanding how to run your business along with other small business owners.
Yeah. And I imagine that's actually a pretty good way to start getting engaged, is go in there and just start asking questions, right? I mean, of stuff you truly want to know, that probably is going to create some engagement all on its own, because people love to give answers.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There's nothing and I also encourage people, just as people, to, when they start using it, when you do that first post and people start upvoting it, and you get literally karma points, that's what we call it. So it shows, you feel like, oh, wow, I just added something of value to the universe. I'm getting these karma points. It feels really good. It's like you're contributing to this community. It's a nice feeling.
Well, Jim, I want to thank you for stopping by the Duct Tape Marketing Podcast. Is there someplace you'd invite people to connect with you? Obviously, we've been talking about Reddit, reddit.com. We got a special for you listeners, Duct Tape 500 to get some ad spend. Is there anywhere else you'd want people to connect with you?
We have, on Reddit, of course. I'm Jim at reddit.com. I'm happy to connect with people. And it's great being here. I'm a fan of the podcast and love what you do with small businesses. So thank you for having me.
Thanks so much again. Hopefully we'll run into you. I've got a daughter that lives out in the Bay Area, so maybe we'll run into you one of these days.
I would love that. I would love that.
Take care. Thanks.
Thanks, John. Take care. Bye-bye.